On this episode of the Whiskey Tornado, we review the first ever Whiskey Tornado single barrel pick, which is a Stellum single barrel rye. What's up, everybody, and welcome back to another episode of the Whiskey Tornado. I'm your host, Lance. Today is a very special episode for me. We get to review the first Whiskey Tornado barrel pick. For those of you that are into barrel picks, it's often a bucket list item. So I was so excited that Rusty with BC Merchants and Narav with A1 Liquors asked me to do a barrel pick. And we got to launch this as a Whiskey Tornado pick. And I'm so excited because this is one of my favorite ryes ever. I know you guys are going to think I'm biased, but man, is it good. We had 206 bottles, I believe. And there's not many left, but our Patreon members were able to get their hands on them. And also, if you've been to A1 Liquors recently, they still have some of these in the store. So if you're wanting them, make sure you get there. Before we get into the review, also want to tell you guys, I just updated our website, whiskeytornado.com. If you guys want to see what new merch is on there, we have Frosted Glens that just came out, Cheers shirts. You can see where I've ranked past whiskeys for the year to see which is my favorite whiskey of the year so far. Live stream schedules, all that kind of stuff is on whiskeytornado.com. All right, with all that being said, let's get into this review of Stellum Single Barrel Rye, the first Whiskey Tornado pick. For those of you new to the Whiskey Tornado, I'll quickly explain our scoring system. We have 7 categories. The first 2 categories are handicapped. Those are appearance and availability. Then we move on to the nose, palate, finish, body, and value. We rate each category 0 to 1, 0.5 being average. Any score at the end that adds up to 3 or better is bar worthy. Any score of 4 or better is bunkersome, just in case the bourbon you love is no longer made. All right, let's take a look at this Stellum Single Barrel Rye. All right, as you can see, guys, just a beautiful bottle, I think. I love the dark green. I love the gold on the top. Almost looks like a wine bottle. This one, of course, is stepped up just a notch above most of the Stellum Single Barrel Ryes because we have the wonderful Whiskey Tornado sticker, 1 in a melon. You guys are going to understand why I called this 1 in a melon in a little bit. But the stickers were amazing. Everybody's loved those. The appearance on this bottle would normally be a 0.6, but because of that sticker, we're going to bump it to a 0.7. All right, moving on to availability. This is a store pick, so it's limited. You can still get them, but there's not many left. Since it's a store pick, all store picks I usually rate at a 0.1 on availability. All right, let's get into the good stuff, guys. We're moving on to the nose. I have a bottle here that I've already opened that's almost empty. We're going to get a pour of that. All right, let's get into this nose. Oh, man, so good. This is 117 proof, guys. This was sourced from MGP. So we're talking about a 95% rye, 5% malted barley. But this is over a 6-year-old rye. So really complex, deep, rich flavors here. First thing I get on the nose is like vanilla and lime, almost like a vanilla lime meringue. Lots of citrus on the nose like you get in a lot of MGP ryes. Even a little bit of spearmint, but not overpowering. It's not like, I'm not even a big fan of spearmint notes, but this is fine. This isn't overpowering at all. It's almost like you do get those like extreme honeydew melon notes, which is why we called it 1 in a melon. Like that's the note that really stands out, that's really dominant for me. But I also, the more I've sat and more I've I've explored this bottle, and like I said, I've went through one already. It's almost like a key lime pie with a nice vanilla meringue on top of it. It's just gorgeous. I absolutely love the nose on this. I'm going to give it a 0.7. All right, moving on to the palate. Cheers to many more barrel picks. If you want to be in on our barrel pick program, you can go to whiskeytornado.com. You can join our Patreon crew for as little as $2 a month. All right, cheers, everybody. Oh, man. You can tell this is older because with those fruit notes, you get that nice tobacco flavor, which I absolutely love. But right on the front of the palate, what dominates for me is that honeydew melon note, big honeydew melon note. A lot of orange like candy. You know, the orange candies, the soft orange candies with like sugar on it that your grandma used to have. I get a lot of that on this. Tobacco, key lime pie. Key lime pie is huge. When I named this, I probably could have played with some kind of key lime pie pun. It's just really, really good. It's got those vanilla, key lime pie, honeydew melon, orange spiced candy. Really complex. Lots of tropical fruits here. And on the back end, kind of finishes with that like spearmint gum, which I hadn't pinpointed until Power of Bourbon tasted this, and we were talking about the notes, and that's one of the flavors they got, and I get that as well. But really beautiful. The orange candy kind of pops too, man. This is like a fat kid's dream. It's so sweet. At 117 proof, it drinks a lot lighter than 117 proof. Don't get me wrong, this isn't a beginner drinker's rye. There's enough spice there to know that this is a big boy rye. But the body's good. The complexity is amazing. With all those tropical fruit notes and all those citrus notes, is this like wonderful layer of tobacco / leather through it that just really adds complexity to it. Absolutely in love with the palate on this. Third sip. Yeah, just a nice balance of orange candy, honeydew melon, key lime pie. It is really gorgeous. You guys are going to think I'm completely biased and completely crazy, but I think this stacks up to Seagrass at almost double the price. But we're going to I'm going to compare the two. I'm going to have Seagrass poured in a glass. So at the end of this, we'll compare Seagrass to this. And you guys can believe me or not whether it stacks up to it. So palate, incredible. Absolutely love it. One of my favorite ryes. I'm going to give the palate a 0.8. All right, moving on to the finish. God, this is like candy. It's just crushable. You want more and more and more of it. Finish is nice. It's just that overwhelming honeydew that transitions to tobacco. And then you start getting the rye spice on the back end. Long finish, definitely better than average. Not the longest finish I've had. I would rate the finish a 0.7. All right, moving on to the body. I think you guys can see I don't have too much left there. But I absolutely love the body on this. Very creamy. Like when I was saying meringue on the nose, it's that creamy, like buttery texture. Just a beautiful palate, beautiful body on this. I think that's one of the highlights of this entire whiskey. No sharp edges. Just gorgeous, full-bodied whiskey. I'm going to give the body a 0.8. All right, moving on to the value on this. Incredible value. It's a $56 bottle right now. So value, I'm going to give a 0.8 because I think it stacks up with some of the best ryes out there. This is a 6-year MGP rye full of tropical flavors. Candied orange, candied honeydew melon, key lime pie, tobacco. Just super complex and rich, full-bodied. Absolutely gorgeous. We're going to give the value a 0.8 at $56. That brings our total score for the first Whiskey Tornado barrel pick, which happens to be a Stellum single barrel rye, to a 4.2, making it bunker worthy. I can't tell you guys how happy I am that my first pick is a bunker worthy bottle. I know a lot of you are going to say I'm being biased, but taste this and tell me I'm wrong. It is so fantastic. And I think it's a bottle a lot of people would sleep on because a lot of people just don't pick up Stellum ryes for whatever reason. And the Stellum single barrel ryes are fantastic. When Rusty brought these samples out to us, we had 6 barrels to choose from. The first was a bourbon, which I wasn't crazy about. The second one was a rye, which I still wasn't crazy about. The third sample we tasted, I actually really loved and would have passed for a rye I would have picked. But after the first 2, I wasn't sure that I was going to be selecting a barrel that day because I'm just not going to put my name on something I don't absolutely love. But after the third sample, I was like, okay, we at least have one that I really love. Fourth sample, I wasn't crazy about. Fifth sample, blew my mind, which is this sample. Absolutely loved it. And what stood out for me was that it was unique with that honeydew melon kind of key lime pie note. And so I had my wife take that sample and the other sample that I liked, and I left the room. She mixed them up, came back, took one sip of both. I said, that's the one. I know that's melons. And she's like, yep, that's the one you really liked. So I was so excited to actually have a first pick that I fell in love with. And I've bought a lot of bottles of these because I want to be drinking this for a long time. So super excited to bring it to you guys. Let's taste it against Seagrass here. So for those of you that don't know, Barrel Seagrass also makes Stellum. So they blend bourbons. They source, blend bourbons. Same company, but Barrel Seagrass was my rye of the year last year. So I want to taste it up against my first barrel pick and see what we think. My barrel pick was 117 proof. Barrel Seagrass is 119 proof. So really close on the proof. I mean, the noses are very, very similar. The Barrel Seagrass has a little bit more, smells a little bit sweeter, more sugar even than mine. And I love Seagrass, so I'm not going to say anything negative about that. There's a little bit more tobacco notes in the Stellum single barrel that I'm not picking up in the Seagrass. But I'm guessing the Seagrass is probably younger. There's some blends of some younger whiskeys in there since it is a blend of Indiana, Tennessee, and Canadian whiskey. So, all right, let me take a sip of mine. I could drink that stuff all day. It's a fat guy's candy, man. It's a candy whiskey. God, it's so good. All right, here we go. Well, I gotta let the finish. It's going on for a long time. God, it's good. All right, here we go for Barrel Seagrass. It's crazy tasting those back to back, guys. Barrel Seagrass, spikier, a little hotter, not near as rounded. I don't know what I scored Barrel Seagrass, but I know it was really high. I'll have to go back and look because I'm not sure where I scored One in a Melon. You guys are going to think I'm nuts. I think One in a Melon is just as good as Seagrass. I think Seagrass is a little bit more complex, but it's finished and it has some, it has Madeira cask, apricot brandy, Martinique rum as well. But I think some of those flavors might put people off. I know Seagrass is kind of hit or miss for people, even though I love it. But One in a Melon stands up to it, which makes me so happy at almost half the cost. It is fantastic. Really, really fantastic. If you guys want this pick, you can go to A1, and they still have some available. If you're inquiring about shipping, let me know. We'll see what we can do on that. So, all right, guys, that's the end of the review. Thank you so much for supporting the channel. Without you guys, we couldn't do barrel picks like this. Thank you again to Narav with A1 Liquors in Effingham. Without you, I couldn't do barrel picks. So it's just fantastic. It's just amazing to see how the channel's grown, and I love you guys. We're gonna cheers you guys with One in a Melon. Cheers, everybody.
Then